My name is Yulin Hswen, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Biostatistics and Epidemiology at the University of California, San Francisco. I will be presenting at AACR this year. Specifically, I'll be part of a panel that is speaking about AI and its future in research, specifically as it relates to cancer. I think UCSF has been ahead of the curve in the way that they have brought together people from multiple disciplines in this area. So it's not actually just in the area of medicine, for instance. Like we brought in sociologists, ethicists, to have these discussions ahead of time because we see how fast it's moving. I think the other really big thing about UCSF that is different is because we're a university, but we're really obviously housed in clinical care, that the research that we do has really strong population effects, right? Because we can deploy that out immediately into the UCSF healthcare system ultimately. And so I think from there's obviously a lot of kind of like these type of like theoretical discussions and these like small scale studies. But I think, where I see a lot of the research now that's happening is, we're looking at really applying all of these smaller studies that, we've put together, in the equivalent of like a laboratory, and actually deploying them out into the system, and seeing, for instance, like, what type of effect will it be on large scale outcomes like cancer, if we start to have AI start to do the communication for providers, for instance. How do patients respond to it? How do real patients respond to it? Whereas a lot of the time, even in my own research, it's the preliminary type of research where we're looking at, and we're working with participants. We're not working with people who are actually sick, who are, in need of care. Even the studies, on, for instance, as I said, like with empathy, they're not, necessarily, again, real patients where you can actually, again, measure these type of clinical outcomes, see if there's a clinical change. Whereas UCSF, we're in the midst of that. And so, everything that we're doing, point by point, in like the laboratory is immediately being discussed, and whether or not we should kind of deploy into like the immediate type of like clinical setting over a larger scale, which obviously has such a ripple effect because of how large UCSF health system is.